Welcome back to the Fetch Quest podcast, where we actually have a name for our podcast now. Today I am joined by my friends and co-host Logan,
Hello.
Hayden,
What
and
up?
Jay.
What's up?
Um, we are a little bit more organized this time. So I think that's a very good positive. Sorry if I sound different compared to the last time. I have a little bit of a sinus infection right now. It's just pollen season, but I'm fine. How's everyone doing today? Like on this beautiful Saturday?
Doing alright. I mean, the sinuses suck, like you said, but it isn't as bad as getting infected by the you-know-what's in our upcoming topic.
I think that's a really good segue, actually. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about horror games and just basic general ideas of horror games and what they really like mean to us. And I think the first way to start this off is with Resident Evil 4. As of recording this, Resident Evil 4 has been out for about a day, actually. Um,
Yeah, say a
Remake.
day.
and this is a really big deal. I mean, obviously, it's just like a remake of a game, but like it's one of these remakes that like they reimagine a good portion of the game, like they rework it in some areas, and not just that, but it's Resident Evil 4, which is like been hailed
One of
as
the
like
most
one of the greatest games
highly
of all time.
acclaimed.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the series and just for games in general.
Me personally, I've only really played Resident Evil 4 on VR, which was a great experience. I had a lot of fun playing that game on VR.
You
how
know what?
is that
That's
in
a
VR?
really good way to do it too.
Yeah, what's
In
the
VR, it's really fun. I like it in
like what's the
VR.
difference?
Like the
Because I know
gunplay and
like
everything is in VR.
Resident Evil 4 is like it's defined by like it being like one of the first like really good third person shooters, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But like, how is that in VR? Like, is it still third person or I imagine it's first person?
No, no, yeah, it's first person now. It has like that. It has what you expect with like the gunplay. You physically reload your guns and all that. And if you hit a headshot, you walk up, you hit a button on your controller, and you do your stun kick. You roundhouse them
Oh god,
because
the
it's funny.
roundhouse kick,
You,
yeah.
you, you do the fucking Incineroar wrestling moves on him.
With certain characters, I think I can't. Yeah, yeah. With Leon, I think he does have one. It's been a little while since I played it,
Dude, there
but
needs to be a mod in Smash with Incineroar as Leon.
Leon Kennedy, I would drop Joker instantly if that was a
Imagine
mod.
imagine his neutral B just spinning around like a Beyblade.
Like he has his
oh
gun in
god, you
one
can't
hand
talk.
and he's just like spinning around with it.
You can't.
Whee!
You can't talk about Resident Evil 4 without mentioning the mercenary mode. Oh my, that's so much fun.
Oh yeah, that was also like a I don't want to say a defining aspect of the game, but I know like there was a lot of praise going towards that mode. Can you like elaborate on that a little bit, Jay?
Well, it's a wave survival. Well, it's not wave. It doesn't count the waves, but it goes. There's a certain time limit. Okay, you go into a map of the game that as you play through, you unlock new characters. There's different maps and stuff. You go to these maps and you have a time limit. Okay, and you build up as much score as you possibly can in that time limit. And as you're going around, you can find time extenders, kind of like in a time trial in some video games. And your goal is just to go for as long as you can, not die, build up as much score as possible.
Do you get any
That's the entire goal.
do you get any
Sounds
rewards for doing it?
Trying to. I
Because I've
think
never
in the
played Resident
original
Evil.
Resident Evil, I think in the original Resident Evil 4, I'm pretty sure you do get rewards, but in Resident Evil 4 on VR, I couldn't pick out any rewards besides just going through and unlocking different characters after you hit a certain score threshold on a map you played. Because like the village, like the very first place you go in Resident Evil 4.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah.
one
The
with
village.
Yeah,
the
so
animals.
that's the first map you play on, and you have to
Oh,
hit a certain and you have to hit a certain amount of score and not die. And once you do that, you unlock a different character. I forget her name. And as you go on, you just keep going through these different maps, hitting a score threshold, and you unlock a different character.
I'm a bit embarrassed to say this. When I first played Resident Evil 4, I played the Wii edition,
Yeah.
which I think before remake was probably one of the best ways to play because the motion controls were actually really nice for that. But I did actually struggle a little bit on like the first village area you were talking about, where like the guys getting crucified. Because
Oh yeah, yeah.
for being a first level, there are a surprising amount of enemies.
Yeah, there's a good bit of enemies there.
Yeah, then there's like
Oh
the
man.
chainsaw dudes that can like one shot you.
Oh, the chainsaw guys! Don't get me started.
Yeah,
Do
fuck
not
them
get me
chainsaw guys.
started.
I hate them.
That's really weird. That's really
They're so
interesting because
scary in VR.
Yeah, no, the Wii edition is bad enough. I can imagine VR when he's just menacingly walking towards you. It's
But
probably a lot
it is pretty fluid because you feel like a badass when you just shoot an enemy, roundhouse kick, shoot another one, roundhouse. It's fun.
that's right.
worse.
You're trying
Yeah,
protecting the
you can
president's daughter in VR.
yeah,
Yes.
you could
They're-
definitely get that in the Wii version, but I think in VR and now the remake, the badassery moments will probably be a little elevated because the Wii version it used the tank controls, well that and the original GameCube version that it released on. But I'm gonna say it's one of the few games with tank controls that I actually kind of like because they mount the camera on the back, so it doesn't feel awkward to move them around. Or well, it still
yeah.
feels a little awkward, but not as bad as the like original Resident Evils where you're turning left and right and then trying to navigate the whole area.
Unfortunately, I haven't played any of the other Resident Evils. Resident Evil 4 has been like the only one I've really kind of played.
I thought you played Resident Evil 2 remake.
No, that was you.
I thought we had a conversation about
Did you?
this. Well, yeah.
No, I didn't.
I've played Resident Evil 2 remake like 5 or 6 times at this point. Yeah.
No, I haven't played the remake of 2 yet.
Dang. Okay, get on that. That is an incredible game.
Yeah.
Which is kind of criminal. I'm not gonna lie, because like I love Resident Evil 2 remake. That is one of my favorite games ever, and I
I mean,
still
it's not like you can talk, guy. There's a lot of criminal things you do, like not playing Torna,
And
but
here comes the Xen.
you played
Okay, I'm glad we're getting
one,
this
two,
out of
and
the way with
three.
the Xenoblade 2 thing. Again,
Oh, you think
not
we're
a fan.
getting out of the way? We're not getting it out of the way. We're just getting started,
Okay,
guy.
really. Yeah, let's get this out of the way. I'm not a fan of Xenoblade 2. Back to Resident Evil. So I love Resident Evil 2 remake, and the thing is that I've seen documentaries and videos about like how different the game is, like actually from the original. Like obviously, like the map is pretty much the same. The
yeah.
Raccoon City Police Department, but it's like there's so many like unique character interactions in the remake. It's like it's a completely different game, and it's really crazy to me how like I want to say how much better it is for that
I
reason.
mean, it did originally release on the PlayStation. From what I'm looking at, January 1998. So yeah, that's a that's a big jump.
It is a
I have
massive jump.
watched a lot of videos on it though.
I know
But
there's some remastered
they're
stuff,
entertaining to
but
watch.
not like the full remake that we eventually got on like the PS4
Yeah,
and
yeah,
other
yeah.
consoles.
It's crazy though because like I'm gonna be honest, those games kind of needed the remake status. Um,
Yeah, especially with those tank controls I was talking about earlier. I know some
yeah.
people will defend them and say it makes the game scarier, but I don't think it makes it scarier when I'm trying to like just aim towards the enemy, but I'm having to work with these janky controls. It just makes me more annoyed more than anything.
No, I
Yeah.
completely get that. It's like it's weird because like the camera too, especially in Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, before they got remade. Yes, there is a Resident Evil 1 remake or remaster, whatever, but it does not like redo the cameras or anything.
Isn't there also like Zero?
Yeah, that's like a spin-off game for something. I don't know exactly what that is, but
Yeah, I don't know too much about it either. I was just bringing it up. I thought it'd be relevant.
yeah. But it's crazy because like the camera like changed so much because like Resident Evil 2 remake is a third-person shooter. Meanwhile, like the the games that they're actually based off of that they're remade of is like the camera is locked into position,
Yeah, they're fixed for each room.
which yeah, I mean yeah, like it's fine and whatnot, but like that created like some issues where if you had to find the item or whatnot, you couldn't exactly like see it, and not just that, but like the gameplay just wasn't as good, at least in my opinion, because like you just had to aim your gun at a zombie, like put 3 bullets in them, they're dead. Meanwhile, like in remake,
Yeah.
you actually have to like aim in certain places to like you have to be strategic, like more. It requires more strategy.
Yeah, well, I
To
mean,
it.
I will say it was probably a product of its time in some ways
Oh, for sure, for
because I
sure.
mean you can only work
Like a
with
lot.
what you got. Like there's a Resident Evil on the Game Boy. Imagine how that worked out.
Oh,
I want to play that
I'm,
now,
I'm not
actually.
even bullshitting on that. Like to aim and shoot, the way it worked is you walked into a zombie, and then a little bar would be scrolling. You had to time it with this like red line, You press A, and then a
What?
shot would be fired.
That's crazy. But yeah, it's just like
Interesting.
that's really interesting actually. What the fuck?
Yeah, let's see.
Um,
Gaiden on the Game Boy Color. Now, again, for being on the Game Boy Color, it was pretty impressive. But I mean, again, it's the Game Boy Color. You got to work with what you got.
it's true.
Yeah.
But God, Resident Evil 4. It's kind of crazy now that like we have this remake of like one of the most influential games ever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people forget that it's actually like really important to gaming as a whole because it really I obviously didn't create the genre, but it really heavily inspired like the third person shooter genre. Like
And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no, you're
but
good, you're good, you're good.
didn't the Devil May Cry series sprout from Resident Evil 4, like the production of it?
Yes, it did actually. It did. I figured this out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about this. This is crazy. But there were two builds of Resident Evil 4. One is the actual like final game, and then the other was like a demo that they were making. The
Yeah.
demo that they were making for Resident Evil 4 before they scrapped it, they instead of putting all the resources like away, they actually recycled it to create Devil May Cry 1. So
Yeah.
technically,
Really?
Devil May Cry 1 is actually a technically like remnants of a build from Resident Evil 4, and then now like we have one of the best like hack and slash franchises out there.
Man.
Which I think is absolutely incredible that two amazing games sprouted from one project.
It's crazy, yeah. Like obviously, like the plan
That
wasn't to have
confident
like
in that
Leon.
work.
Like, say what?
It's always crazy when stuff like that happen.
It's true. Like obviously, the
Like
original intent was not to have like Leon with devil powers, like fighting off all these demons or whatnot. It's just that, like the assets
That
and
would be
whatnot
funny.
the assets and whatnot that they use for the game is just like, okay, why put this to waste? We've already put like a lot of money into this, so like let's just do this and see how it turns out. And I'm a really big fan of Devil May Cry, and it was
Oh yeah, me
spawned
too.
because of that. Yeah,
Speaking of
I
that,
had to bring it up because I'm a big
spawn
fan.
like amazing movies too?
say what?
Didn't it also spawn some amazing movies?
Oh God, if my mom watches this, she's going to kill me. So unfortunately, Resident Evil is an amazing video game series. We all know this. But unfortunately, it spawned 6 pieces of garbage that are not video games, but rather films.
What do you mean they're masterpieces?
I know, I love watching freaking Mila Jovovich fucking slow motion shooting fucking. I don't even know what the movies are at this point.
Dude, it's just like Black Adam. Just it's a beautiful movie with like all those slow-mos zooming in on the rock's face.
There's a. I don't remember which Resident Evil it is, but this is like the stupidest thing. She, like, I think it's the fourth one, I think. She collects quarters, like, throughout the movie because it's foreshadowing towards something in the end. And it turns out she's using the quarters to like load up her sawed-off shotgun and shoot the quarters through the zombies. Which, by the way, that's not how a gun works.
Yeah, when you were describing that, I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, like a shotgun pellet like has like a lot. A shotgun bullet
Well,
like has a lot of
there
pellets
is a
in it.
thing called coin shot where you load coins into a modified shell for it.
Yeah, but it's like
Sounds like a fucking Terraria gun.
if
Actually, no, it's a
I.
Terraria gun. Now that I
There
think about it.
literally is a coin gun in Terraria.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
uses all your money just to kill enemies in style.
it's confirmed. She was a Terraria player.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, she definitely was.
But God, I'm probably gonna go on a rant about this one. The Resident Evil movies were actually my introduction to the franchise as a whole. And it's because my mom is actually a fan of them. Her favorite
What?
yes, I'm being serious.
I mean, your mom is the same one that was a fan of Morbius.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Because like Jared Leto, but
But she doesn't like Black Adam.
It's Morbin time.
Back
Yeah.
to what we were saying. It's essentially like before we got sidetracked with the greatest film of all time, Morbius. It's crazy because like I hate that my introduction was those movies because I had an idea of what Resident Evil was, and then when I saw like footage and whatnot of the Resident Evil games, I actually was like, this doesn't look cool. It's slow. You only get a pistol. What? Again, this is like naive little child guy. This isn't like Giga Chad 19-year-old. So yeah.
silly 9-year-old.
Hee hee ha ha.
It probably was like 10 years ago. I'm not even gonna lie. But but yeah, that's just like those movies are really bad. Like if you want a good example of like how to not adapt like sources of media, you go to those movies. They're not good at all. But I think we should really move on to the subject. Resident Evil 4 as a horror game and horror games as a whole. I know Brewer, I know you had some interesting games to bring up for this. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll admit with horror games, I haven't played as many of the big budget ones or just like more well-known ones, but there's some smaller ones that or I won't say small because they have a huge cult following, like Inside. I played that during like last Halloween, and while that game I think is more about like the message it has at the end, which I don't want to spoil, it really does have a good amount of horror elements in it and just making you feel powerless because it's a side scroller. You go left and right, you can jump and then solve puzzles. But as you do that, you're going to have guards and then some other weird creatures try to just kill you. So you're just a little boy. So you mean as a little boy, yeah, you can't do much. You got little boy arms,
Run!
you got little boy legs. You're just gonna have to get by.
Wait, I'm sorry. What game are you talking about again? It sounds
Inside.
familiar.
It was a
Inside.
very popular indie game that released a while ago.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Hold up.
Yeah, it's the kid with the red shirt. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about too, actually.
Yeah, hold up. Is that
But yeah, there's like no dialogue in the game, at least that I could remember. And you're just trying to navigate this like huge, confusing world where like people are just like brainwashed zombies. It's kind of like just a 1984 kind of a horror, if that's the best way I could describe it.
that's sick actually? Yeah, like I see the art style and it's really stylized, which I know Connor would love.
Yeah, it always leads a lot up to your imagination. Like one portion of the game, you're looking through this glass, and there's just like this weird little kid with like really long hair connected to some cords floating in water. And once you start progressing and you need to get further in the game, that kid tries to drown you on multiple occasions. So you have to find your ways to navigate through that thing, and it's really fast. So
Jesus.
you're just trying to
Find ways to navigate yourself
sweat,
and not being
run back
drowned.
up, bait it over to an area, gaslight it, and then get through the gate and close it while it's trying to chase you down and drown you.
Holy fuck.
But then in one of the later portions, what happens is it drags you down, but then all of a sudden you're fine. It just leaves you, and then you're fine underwater. So
Jeez.
again, just leaving a lot up to the imagination.
Yeah, like good for interpretation and whatnot.
Yeah, really good for interpretation.
That's
There
sick.
are some other things I'd like to talk about, but again, I don't want to spoil too much, especially the ending because it is a fucking ride and a half.
Is it as good as the Attack on Titan ending?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I love when Aaron
Don't say thing. Don't
incels
say it.
all
Don't say
over
it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay, for reference, any of our viewers, we are not talking about Attack on Titan. I will not do. I don't think we're ever gonna do an episode on Attack on Titan. I'm gonna be for real.
I think we should do an episode eventually, but maybe when the final arc of the anime releases, and they definitely give an anime original ending.
I would get mad.
Please.
But Hayden and Jay, whichever one of y'all want to start first. Like, are there any like horror games you want to talk about or like bring up?
One that I hold very dear because like I loved playing it so much when I was younger is any zombie game basically. The main one I'm thinking about is the Left 4 Dead. Love them.
Yeah, you were really into that game, like about a
Ooh,
year
Left 4
ago.
Dead, dude.
Yeah, you talk about it one all the time. I think about it.
Dude, Left 4 Dead. Okay, so it's just so interesting. Like it's a normal zombie game, and it's the one of those wave. It's not really a wave zombie game. It's more like point A to point B, and there's some moments where you can get waves of zombies. But the concept that always I liked was all the variation between zombies.
Pray tell, do go into more detail.
Please.
Okay, so you have the ones you have are chargers, which they have one big arm and would run into you, grab you, and smash you into the floor and do other stuff like that.
Sounds like
And then you,
the El Gigante boss from Resident Evil 4.
God.
dude, yeah. And
Oh,
then
you're
you
not
have
wrong.
oh, which what are the other ones? You have the smokers, which have a really long tongue. It would grab you with it and pull you towards them to like attack you, and then when you kill them, it just puffs smoke.
That one's
And
actually
you
a
got
very creepy
Whoa.
concept.
yeah, that one always scared the crap out of me because all you would hear is like, and then you would just start slowly getting dragged back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
You
sound
gotta
design
hope
in
and
the
pray
horror
the AI
games is
help you.
very important.
Oh, hold
Enemies
on,
and
but
atmosphere.
when we get to the end, like mini boss kind of ones, one of them is really like horror material. Then you also got the acid one, the spitters, I think, which you know they spit acid, cover the floor, can't walk there. You kill them, they spill out acid. Same deal. And then what other ones are there? There's the boomers, which you know
Oh
they just
lord, not
explode.
the boomers.
Oh God, not baby boomers.
And then the two really like mini boss kind of ones is the tank, which is literally just the charger on steroids. It just fucks shit up and throws rocks at you. It can pick you up and start smashing you, I'm pretty sure. And then the final one, which I think captures the horror element the best, is the witch, which is kind of like the optional version of a boss where you can hear it crying, so you know where it is, but you can stay away from it. But if you activate it, it can just one shot you, murder you.
That sounds
Yeah,
epic, actually. Yeah.
I think that goes back to what I was saying. Sound design, I think, is really important in horror games,
It really is. It builds like atmosphere.
especially with the enemies. Like one game I really liked, Deathmark. It's a visual novel. Even though most of the times you're never actually going to be in a situation where you can be killed, it does a really good job at bringing up tension or making you wonder when's the next spirit going to attack. Because throughout the game, you have this mark on you, and it makes spirits hunt you down and try to kill you. So a lot of times you could be exploring this like dark forest, and you hear like some trees snap or something, or just some weird sounds in the background, or you hear some like weird breathing, or you move your flashlight over, and then there's like an enemy that isn't even related to the main spirit you're trying to find, and then you just highlight it, and then it just like laughs and disappears.
That's that's actually a problem I have with like a lot of horror like a lot of modern horror movies and games is like they don't understand what makes things scary. It's like the build up, the sound design, the cinematography, etc. And it's something that like I feel like isn't that good anymore if that makes sense.
Dude, horror movies, I don't even watch them get scared. I mostly watch them because it's Halloween and I want something to laugh at.
Yeah, like
Like
I
Cocaine
felt
Bear.
that one.
it was not
Cocaine Bear.
scary. Yeah, it was not scary at all. I was more so laughing. Like there was this one scene where the dude was like doing this like little dance, kicking his legs out, and I was more so laughing than being scared while he was just like staring at you menacingly.
But yeah,
Cocaine Bear had like it wasn't trying to be serious at all. It was funny.
I
I'd say
can't
that's more of a comedy.
I cannot believe that
Let,
movie has a
let's
70% on Rotten
I,
Tomatoes. That it was
I was
genuinely
gonna say,
like one of the worst movies I think I've ever seen, but it was so
let's be
funny.
honest here.
Well, it's not
Cocaine
trying
Bear
to be anything.
Cocaine Bear was one of those movies where it's bad intention, kind of. Because let's be honest here, that's Cocaine Bear is literally just a meme gotten too far.
I mean, when you go walk into a movie called Cocaine Bear, I mean, what are you going to expect?
True, true, true.
Like, you're already not being taken seriously because of the title.
Um, but yeah, it's like going back to the point about like sound design and whatnot. I think this is a good segue to I to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh God.
And there's a certain okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the first one is scary. Except for when the power's up. And here's why.
I'm
Dun, dun.
sorry, I had
No,
to.
you're good. You're good. Because like it's dark, you'd have no control, and they actually like use sound. The
You want
that's
to
actually
you know you
Yeah,
know
they
why I
cut
think
out.
is the argument to that? Of course, there's the obvious answer of jump scare. We're not talking about that. I just think in almost most of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, there's a level of tension that is always present.
for
I
sure.
think that's why the jump scares are scary. Like, I still don't think they're the best. I prefer the horror games when it's scary because of the atmosphere, the monster designs, and like sound design. But I think jump scares I know people are really tired of them, but they did have their merit back then.
For sure.
I was about to say, because let's be honest, most of the Five Nights at Freddy's jump scares, you know when they're coming. 'Cause you know you've already fucked up.
Because like you're given control. Like everything that you do in that game, if you
Like,
fail, that's your fault.
Like, I think the
Well,
biggest
RNG
one that
would argue otherwise, but
I think the
I've
biggest
seen
one that
Markiplier
has
beat 2020 mode.
I
I'm
think
talking about the first game. I'm pretty sure there was some RNG involved. Other games they did have more concrete strategies, but even if you played perfectly in the first game, you could still get killed just because RNG just didn't smile upon you that day.
True.
I still think
Yeah.
one of the most tense moments from any of that game was which one was it? That one little kind of mini game encounter in Sister Location where you have to keep the desk door shut, and there's the little eyes poking through the holes. So
Sister Location had a lot of good moments.
you don't get to see what's actually opening it, but you can just see it sliding occasionally, and you have to put it back.
Jeez.
Well, I think Sister Location, one of the better moments I remember is when you're having to go through that like dark hallway, but you're having to rely on the sound, so you can use your flashlight to like stun the.
The Funtime Foxy one, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, again, the best way I think a horror game makes you feel scared is to make you feel powerless.
True.
Plus, not to mention, one of the things that they also did right there is the sense of something's around you, you just don't know where it is.
Yeah, no, that's a horrifying concept.
For sure.
That's all. That's basically like the root of the fear of darkness is not because it's dark. It's just you don't know what's there.
The fear of the unknown, basically.
Yeah, Fear the Unknown, I think, is like the scariest thing in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's actually why like probably Alien and Aliens is like my favorite horror movies ever. Like obviously
Fear
like
the unknown.
like we obviously like we know what they are like and how they reproduce and everything, but it's just like you don't know like if they're there, if they're near you or if they're beside you or if they are just like after you, the xenomorphs in that movie, and it's just like a lot of people underappreciate like I think the tension and horror that goes into those movies. At least the first two, in my opinion, but that's just me.
I mean, it's a long series, so I mean, it's bound to have some, just little stinky moments.
Plus all the collaboration.
True.
Oh yeah, it has so many collaborations.
Oh, Jay, are there any horror games that you want to bring up? I know you had a really interesting one.
Well, a game that recently, well, not kind of recently got remade was Dead Space.
Let's fucking go!
One of the most influential horror games ever.
I really
Everyone
need to
just
play
loves Dead Space.
I fucking need to play Dead Space.
I'm actually playing it right now just so I can refresh my memory a little bit because it's been so long. But
wait, are you
Yeah,
actually
well,
playing Dead Space like right now?
yeah, as we speak, I'm playing Dead
Wow.
Space.
Oh my god.
Optimal.
Oh yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it, Jay. Like, what's it about? Like, how is it scaly, or how does it do all this, do all that?
Well, my first experience with Dead Space was when I was really young. Horrible time to play it. It scared me so much. Because me and my stepbrother, we would like go into a room, turn off the lights, and play Dead Space. And we were young, so it actually terrified us. But now that I'm like older and playing it again, it's not as scary. Like if you don't know what's coming, yeah, you're gonna get scared. Like I've been jump scared a couple times, but like playing through the parts that I played as a kid, I knew something was coming, so it didn't really scare me as much. I can't speak a lot for the Dead Space remake because I haven't got around to playing that, but yeah, but Dead Space, as a lot of people probably know, is just a survival horror game. I don't know any other genres that go into it, really.
I mean,
don't know.
you could say like third-person shooter.
Yeah, third-person shooter, survival horror game, and I don't know how much in depth I got to go into, but you're this repair crew. You're coming out to repair this space station, and as you dock, as you go to dock, you realize something's wrong, and you get there, and you go to investigate. Then eventually, like one thing leading to another without spoiling much, you get stranded on this space station, and you're trying to find a way out, and that's basically the story. And you're trying to Also, while trying to find your fiance, I think is what she is.
Yeah, it's like Isaac's
Trying to
wife or
find your feet.
fiance. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to find Isaac's wife or fiance, but you're just going around trying to find a way off, trying to see if she's alive and find her. And it's just a really good horror game, and I'd recommend it to anybody who ever plays it,
Yeah,
whoever
I,
wants to
I
play.
like playing a lot of my horror games during like Halloween. That one's definitely on my radar.
You guys want to? You guys
I'm
want
sorry,
to?
what?
No, you first. You
Oh,
first.
I was saying I like playing a lot of horror games during Halloween.
Uh, and Dead Space is definitely on your
Old,
radar.
old spooky month.
Yeah.
Uh, are you ready for like the biggest mind blow slash like circle around ever?
The what now?
Are you ready for like the biggest circle like going around and topics that have ever existed?
Sure.
Dead Space would not exist without Resident Evil 4.
Man, you're really simping for that game tonight, but I
Dude,
can't blame
I
you.
want to play it so bad, but it's $60, and I'm just like, oh god.
Hi, you're broke.
That's true. It's true. I am broke. But
So explain why one day exists.
Dead Space would not exist without Resident Evil 4.
What's that?
Like
Dead Space is
inspiration.
Dead Space is influenced by Resident Evil 4. Like
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
like
You
so
want to something?
what's up, Hayden?
You want to something interesting that me, Jay's, and your game have in common though?
What's up?
They're all horror games involving some type of infection.
Holy crap, you're right.
You're actually right.
You're right. Holy crap.
Yeah, you're dead on about that.
Okay, well,
Actually,
To bring-
no,
to bring up
one
another
of the games
thing.
I'm talking about too. I talked about earlier, Death Mark. Literally, the whole plot of that game is trying to remove this like mark on your arm that it's on a timer, and if you don't get it off, you're literally like dragged to hell. I mean, that isn't an infection, but like maybe a spiritual infection.
oh, is it like is it a roguelike?
So basically, the way it works is a spirit, once it's like kind of interested in you, and I'm really trying to simplify this because it's a decently long visual novel. But you get this strange mark on your arm, and as time passes, the spirit comes closer and closer to getting you. Like the mark burns more, and you usually have side effects like not being able to remember things, feeling dizzy. So the plot throughout the game is you try to, what is it, purify each spirit as they keep trying to kill you with the power of the mark, and all while trying to recover your memories.
Gotcha,
Because you have a
gotcha.
fun little
Interesting.
thing called amnesia. Gotta
Yo,
love amnesia.
amnesia?
Yeah, my favorite thing, amnesia.
True. Um, God, what are some like I want to say games that are like they have horror aspects, but not like horror games in like general. Because like
There's one I remember playing a while ago. It's this little indie game called Anodyne. I remember I got into it because this YouTuber called NitroRad was talking about it, and it was on sale on the eShop, so I got it. And it's just like Zelda-like. Well, I'd say kind of a parody of Zelda-like because like instead
parody.
of getting a sword, you get like a broom, so you broom your enemies to death.
Uh, that sounds like any God, what? I want to say anyone when they find a stray cat, just whack him with a broom.
Oh, broom powers go!
Broom powers
Whip out the
activate.
broom. The
Yeah,
broom's OP.
yeah, but there's a lot I could say about the game, but it has some really good horror elements or things you don't expect because there's a town you go into and it's black and white, kind of just like an old TV, VHS or something. And when you try to go talk to the enemies, the talking button is the same as like the broom. Instead of using the broom, it switches to a knife.
Yeah, yeah.
And the few people you can talk to, they keep talking about how there's like this strange phenomenon going on, like people dying and stuff, but they keep trying to like pretend that it's not happening. And after that, you know, dab.
Yeah. Jesus, that's crazy.
So for how the rest of the game is, it just feels very spooky because you're going around. There's these like strange entities just around there, and then any town folks you try to talk to, for some reason you just stab them. Nothing said. They just die.
They just okay. I did not know that if you stab someone, they die. That is fucking
I know.
crazy.
I know.
That's fucking nuts.
Absolutely insane.
But
Well, there's another one where like it
yeah, yeah.
betrays your expectations because there's this like fisherman, and actually like you're trying to progress on your quest, and you try to talk to him, and in the same way that like the attack button is the same as your talking button, you try to talk to him and you like hit him with your broom for some reason. You're like, man, that's weird. So you try to keep talking to him. Then eventually you push him into the water, and then part of the sea turns red.
Jesus,
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, so
murder.
I kind of copy the point that like Natural made because I rewatched this video after I beat the game, but it's like a betrayal of expectations.
No, they. That sounds interesting. Actually, send a link to that to me because
Yeah, I'd highly recommend that game. It wouldn't take you too long to beat, and it's usually pretty cheap.
sick.
And it has a lot of love put into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That, and it also has a sequel too, which I haven't played, but I will get around to that.
Eventually, we're just gonna put in the backlog. Yeah.
The backlog is just the hell for all my games I collect
Oh
or
my
find on
god.
sale.
The games that you gotta play eventually.
Eventually,
That's the
Yeah,
that's
I got a
the
couple of
true
those.
horror of tonight. My gaming, how big my backlog is.
yeah. Yours is massive. It's fucking huge. One
Oh
game
yeah,
that is in your backlog that you need to play soon, is Bloodborne.
I will
This
get around to it, guy.
this
We can
once
actually
is
talk about that. That game has horror elements.
yeah. That
once I
was
play
that
Elden
was the game that I was wanting to talk about with horror elements. I don't know if that game is like officially a horror game because it doesn't try to like scare you, but there's so much like eldritch horror in that game. It's so
yeah.
good.
I'll
So
say there's a lot of games that classify that, like the one I was talking about, Anodyne, where they aren't horror games, but they have some horror elements to them, or the monster designs are really freaky. Like Deathmark, the monster designs in that game are amazing, including its like sequel, Spirit Hunter. They have some really freaky ones, like bodies or like limbs torn off, replaced with like metal, what are like strung up like puppets.
yeah.
Fun.
But
Yeah.
Bloodborne, for anyone who has not ever heard of this game, I can't believe you. If you genuinely like, if this is the first time you've ever heard of Bloodborne, you need to go outside and go to GameStop and buy you a copy of Bloodborne. Um, so Bloodborne is
PlayStation exclusive. Keep that in mind.
just buy the box. Just buy the magic PlayStation box, please. Um, so essentially, it's an action RPG where you play as a foreigner, going into a new land called Yarnum, and the idea is that you're a hunter, and the night that you get there is the night of the hunt, where you must exterminate all the beasts of Yarnum and find the truths of the world. Now, from this, it sounds like kind of like simplistic, but what turns into like, oh, you think you're just like slaying some beasts and whatnot, turns into a mind fuck of a game. Um, this is a Soulsborne game, so like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro, same developer, same genre, and it's my favorite game in those like entire catalog because of the atmosphere. It has amazing weapon design, which I hate they have not done in future games for like the Souls games. But how it works is that each weapon has like two forms. They're trick weapons. Like God, this is gonna be such an obscure reference, but Byleth in Smash/Three Houses, like
Oh my
his or
god.
her main sword like can turn into a whip. That's like a trick weapon essentially. But every weapon in Bloodborne is a trick weapon. So not only do you have like two move sets, but you also have like a variety of moves to combo through. Like you can do like standard attacks. You can do switching attacks, which actually are really good for speedruns. You can do heavy attacks into switch attacks. There's so much you can do with it. But with that, you try to find like your own gameplay style and just like beat all these like really hard bosses, and it's just so good. It's it's probably my sixth favorite game ever made. I'm gonna be honest. Um,
All your favorite games are just the Soulsborne games.
It's my okay. Souls.
Oh, that's not true. That's not.
Souls is like kind of my favorite video game franchise. It's kind of not too. It's weird because like I would say 4 games of the Soulsborne like series are my favorite games of all time. Then like there are 3 others which I just could not give a shit for. Like I'm gonna be honest.
No.
And this
Dark
is gonna,
Souls 2.
this is probably gonna set some people off. Those 3 games are Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 2. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, if you like Bloodborne, like goes into a lot of Eldritch horror. It's a lot of Lovecraft inspirations. There's one enemy in the game. They're called the oh, what is it? It's called Kos, or the Oracle of Kos. The area that like you go through before you fight that boss, it's based off like one of H.P. Lovecraft's stories where about like everyone like near the sea turns into like these monsters or whatnot over time. Hey, do y'all know what I'm talking about? Like,
I think I do know what you're talking
I'm
about.
not too sure.
yeah, like
What's it called?
God, I forget. Hold up, I'm gonna Google this right now. Story of Lovecraft.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Story of Lovecraft where town turns into fish people. The Shadow over Innsmouth.
Shadow what?
The Shadow over Innsmouth. Okay, that makes so much sense now. But like, that's the idea essentially. Is that like there's a lot of horror elements and stuff like that. Like again, like there's an entire area of the game that's based off that story from H.P. Lovecraft. But I wouldn't say it's like
H.P.
a full
Lovecraft is a really good horror inspiration.
true. I preface this by the way. We separate the art from the artist, and especially in this situation.
Definitely.
Especially in this situation. For reference, if you don't know what we're talking about, just look up the name of H.P. Lovecraft's cat, and you can get back to us on that.
I don't really think we can talk about that too much. So just the art though, really good.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
love Tentacle Monster.
For sure.
Don't take that out of context.
We're gonna take that out of context.
No.
But
No.
Bloodborne usually goes on sale for like $20 or even $10. I see a lot. If you ever have the chance, like on a PlayStation or PlayStation 5, please do yourself a favor and play that game because it genuinely like opened my eyes to so many other games because of like what it stands for and just what it is. But yeah, that's just me. Jay, are there any games that like aren't exactly horror games but have horror aspects?
I don't know, honestly. I don't think I've really played a lot of games with horror aspects.
Could I
I mean,
suggest?
there's
I was about to say I have one that technically is a horror game, but honestly, after your first couple matches of it, it's not really a horror game.
You want to go first, Hayden?
Are you
Yes.
talking about Dead by Daylight?
Yeah, I want to talk about Dead by Daylight. I don't
Of
want to talk about the
course.
actual game. I just want to talk about how many crossovers it's gotten.
Dude,
Like,
I can't even count the number of
It is
crossovers.
insane. Like how many movie license characters they have, and then also how many even going back to Resident Evil, how many Resident Evil crossovers they've done. It's
Jesus.
insane.
Wait,
Who
wait,
did
wait,
it
They
wait.
have, they have Ada in there. They have
Dead by
Leon.
Daylight.
Wait, do they have Mr. X in there and Nemesis?
They don't have. They have Nemesis as a playable character. They don't have Mr. X.
Oh, that's
They have
unfortunate.
who's the guy we were talking about that has the eyeball on his shoulder from Resident Evil?
From Resident Evil, eyeball on the shoulder. William?
I don't know.
Maybe yes, probably him. Yes.
Okay, describe,
they-
describe him.
Roscoe's in there
Describe him.
too from Resident Evil 4.
Trying to remember. Let me look this up.
Because I know there's a boss in
Yeah,
it.
William.
Yeah,
So they have a skin for one of their characters that turn him into William.
that's really sick, actually.
Dude, in the trailer they did for it, because they have RPD as a map, was you saw the normal character in a mirror reflection, in a window reflection, and then it turned to the actual character and they had the skin on. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, if any, I'd say it's a really good crossover because Dead by Daylight's aesthetic matches really nice with the Resident Evils.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never played the game before, but I definitely agree on that.
Oh, and something also kind of crazy. They don't have it anymore because they dropped it basically, but they used to have Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I was about.
Oh yeah,
Are you still on there?
seeing that.
Yeah, he's still in there. You just can't get him anymore.
Oh, is it like
Okay,
limited
now-
time?
Is it like
thing?
a license expire or?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I hate when that happens.
That makes no sense though. That'd give them so much money because the demo. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think I don't think it's them. Stop them. I think it's just Netflix didn't want to continue that.
Like
Basically,
licensing issues can always be kind of weird with those games. So
yeah. Who
Yeah,
knows?
but like
I do always hate to see it, but stuff like that just happens.
I'm not a big fan of Stranger Things. I think season 1 is one of the best like seasons in all of television. But after that it just falls off hard. It's kind of weird that they kind of like just like release the contract like that because that show I quote Jacksepticeye on this one. He said this, no shit. Like Stranger Things was meant for TikToks, for people to make TikToks off it. For like popularity sakes and whatnot. So it's kind of weird for them to like retract their license like that, especially when Dead by Daylight is like the most popular, like I want to say online horror game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, mass multi, not mass multiplayer, but
An
like
MMO.
multiplayer MMO, but like multiplayer horror game. Yeah.
Imagine MMO freaking Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight is an MMO,
That
which is
work.
like it's like fucking ESO, but constantly PvP's activated. You just have dicks waiting outside of the main cities, waiting for like survivors to come out, and they just grab you.
Oh my god, that would be
Yeah,
amazing.
you know another game that I think a lot of people wouldn't expect, at least looking on the outside. I'd say is like it isn't a horror game with some horror elements.
Is
Celeste. Not
here's the thing. I've
nominated
never played
for
Celeste.
Game of the Year. Really should. It goes on sale for like $5 all the time,
No, I
and it
own
was
it.
one.
No, I own it. I just haven't played it.
You filthy Korean.
Yeah, I know. But I have Connor saying, "You have to play Hi-Fi Rush, guy. You have to play Hi-Fi Rush." I'm like, "No, I want to play Pizza Tower."
There's too many good
I want to play
games.
Pizza Tower.
That's the problem. Wait, doesn't Pizza Tower have some jump scares in it?
Yes, there's a okay. This is holy shit. This relates. There's an entire level of Pizza Tower
What?
where it's a parody of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not even kidding.
I cannot wait to get to that.
It is. It's like one of the last
What?
levels in the game, but they do a lot of cool stuff with it. Actually, it's like you actually have to activate like the animatronics to like get past certain parts of the level. Okay, anyone who hasn't played it yet, play Pizza Tower, please. That game is so good.
But yeah, going back to Celeste, the entire game is about like confronting your fears and then like pushing past them with like the metaphor of climbing a mountain, which you literally climb a mountain in the game.
That sounds like Persona.
Don't you dare get on a Persona rant right now.
I'm not gonna get on Persona. I promise.
Oh, here we go.
I'm
You
not.
better
I'm
not.
not. I'm not. That's for a different episode.
I'm gonna drive over to where you are right now, throw a shoe at you, even though it's like
You
4
could
hours.
probably talk about Persona for a whole hour straight. Don't even.
That's a whole another video.
50 reasons
Yeah.
why you need to play
That's one
Persona
of the most-
5 right now.
Yeah, one of the most memorable moments of like horror, I think, would be this like temple you go in. The entire atmosphere of the place is like really dark, and there's these weird like eyeball creatures that are just like trying to chase you. And throughout the entire game, you're just like another part of yourself like battling is just telling you you can't do it. Don't try to face them. Just turn away. But you know you keep pushing forward so you can climb that mountain. Because you ain't gonna let the inner thoughts win today.
God,
Yeah, that's gonna sound kind of funny, but when you said the eyeball thing, I kind of thought back. I kind of thought to Terraria. Wouldn't that be considered a game with horror?
You know you're right, actually.
You know what? Yeah,
It's an interesting thing because like I guess it somehow it has it's kind of like Bloodborne in a way. Like it's not horror, but some aspects of it could be seen as horror.
I mean, when you're a kid and then you feel a strange presence watching you, I feel like that can
The
be
Eye of
scary.
Cthulhu comes out of nowhere and just.
No, the wall of flesh, like haha, funny little doll fell into lava, and then the wall.
And then you go back up, and then your guide is no longer there.
Still
Yeah.
have never played this Terraria.
We're gonna have to take time to take a guy through Terraria.
Yeah,
We
please.
really
Dude,
are.
honestly, it wouldn't take that long, and I would be down.
I love me some Terraria. That game made my childhood. Even when I
Listen,
had to play it on like mobile on my tablet, and it would crash like so many times because I had a shit tablet.
listen, bro. We gotta do it on expert mode. That's the only way to play Terraria.
I'm down.
I mean, I'm down too, but I don't think that's good at first experience for Guy.
Yeah, I was about to say,
It
I
Oh,
don't
it
think
don't
I've ever
matter.
played.
I was about to
It
say
don't matter.
it definitely is
Dude,
because like
he's gonna die to fall damage or a random boulder within like the first 10 minutes.
no, I'm just talking about like the movement opportunities you get because normal Terraria movement opportunities are so like gate locked until hard mode.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I know the shield is a really good option early game, but well, even some late game. But I don't know. I
Guy,
just
the
don't
only one
feel
here
like
that can't talk about
expert
Terraria.
mode would be good for him starting out.
I definitely know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that does go back into creature designs, like you were saying with Wall of Flesh, because just imagining it, if it wasn't in like a little cute pixel art style, yeah, that could be horrifying.
I
Or
was gonna say,
maybe even
Oh, definitely.
I think there's another thing that's like horror elements outside of horror games. It's just creature design, like Witcher 3 creatures.
Oh,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Those things hit different. It
Like, not even
already
a horror game, but some of the designs are just freaky.
Yeah, it's crazy.
what's that like cow monster in it? It's like a really freaky design. It's after you kill like a bunch of cows.
Yeah,
Oh
they
yeah,
put that in to prevent people from grinding money.
I don't think that it's an actual like horror game, but like Metro Exodus has some creepy looking creature design.
Oh, that's a horror game. That's a horror game.
That's a horror game.
Yeah, Metro as a series is horror.
Dude,
Metro as a series
the
is horror.
sentient like intelligent gorillas.
Metro is 110% a horror game.
Fair. We've been talking about horror games for like a while now, but let's actually talk about like what makes a horror game or like what defines horror aspects. I think it'd be really fun.
Oh,
First one is definitely atmosphere.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah, atmosphere brings it all together.
Well, that or I'd also say like betrayal of atmosphere, like Doki Doki. It obviously has a cute aesthetic, but the reason people got so obsessed about that game is because portrayal of expectations. You expect cute little visual novel game
Anime women.
rope.
Rope. No.
Well, I feel
No.
I feel like the game, like, I understand what you're saying with that, but I feel like it delves more into like, well, I haven't played it, so I really can't say it. But from what I've seen, it's
Fourth wall breaking.
it's like a mix of like atmosphere and like psychological horror.
Yeah.
Like that's just from what I've seen. I think atmosphere is probably the most important thing when it comes to video games, but it's just like I think that like yeah, y'all can like disagree with me on this one, but I think the main reason for that is just because like you are making the player has to actively like go through it. Like it's their decisions to
Interact
actually
with the
go through the
surroundings and all
game.
that.
It's like that for every game. But it's just like you have to set up an atmosphere that like that keeps the player coming back. And it's something that you can't really break, which I feel like is really hard to do, especially nowadays, because like you could have one like light cutesy scene in like your horror game, it can like completely break tension. If that makes sense.
I think I can see what you're talking about.
Because it's like I don't know, for me at least, I want
Like
my
adding a comedic scene to a horror,
exactly.
break the tension.
Like really like okay, I understand like Isaac has like one-liners in fucking Dead Space, but I wouldn't like say that's comedy. You know what I mean? Or at least he has one-liners in
I
Dead
haven't
Space.
heard any one-liners. I don't remember any.
Okay, yeah, Dead Space remake. I'm thinking of Dead Space remake.
Okay.
But
Okay, let me say in the original, I don't hear any one-liners.
yeah, but that's not like comedy. That's not like breaking the tension or anything.
Maybe it's just like if you keep the tension going that much and you keep trying to scare the player, they aren't going to get scared. Like, do you remember that one episode of SpongeBob where like the ghost pirate dude is scaring the shit out of SpongeBob, but then after a while,
oh
SpongeBob
yeah,
doesn't care anymore? Or the Flying
You
Dutchman.
yeah,
gotta
the Flying Dutchman, yeah.
you gotta have those downtimes to make the player relax. Then you go back in the spooky time.
Then you go back into horrifying them with eldritch abominations of Earth.
Jesus.
I say that's probably the thing that makes Dead Space kind of scary because like you have those downtimes where there's nothing. Then out of nowhere you're getting jump scared by these monsters coming out of the vents and just just popping up because I think in Dead Space is there's dead corpses in the ground and they can just turn into it and they can just rise up in front of you, just scare you.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're
well, I feel like
constantly
having that safe haven for a player is really important. Like Resident Evil 4, when you get to a
Yeah.
save point, or just any Resident Evil game, that feels so just. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I felt when playing Resident Evil 2. Because there's a point in the game where Mr. X, oh god,
Mr. Funny, funny Mr. X.
X couldn't give it to you. Mr. X,
X.
like okay, his in-game name is like called the Tyrant, but the reason why he's called Mr. X is because like that's like a code word for agents who take out witnesses, which is
Okay, yeah.
what he does in the game. But in Resident Evil 2 in the police department, there's a point in the game where you have to go around like I want to say like the third story and second story for like most of your items, but the ca- the catch with this time is that Mr. X is out and about and he's trying to track you. And because and it's really cool because like if you're playing through the game for the first time, you already have like this era of tension because of the zombies. But now you're going through this same area again on your same playthrough, but there's a new added tension to it because of Mr. X. Like the game like lets the player have time to learn the locations and learn how to get around them, but now they have to get around this extra thing that can end their entire playthrough.
Hmm.
This boy who's sniffing you around the entire time.
He is. He literally is.
I smell RPD.
I smell that Leon ass.
Oh, oh,
Come here, Leon.
you're
Yeah.
too dummy thick tonight, Leon.
Thing. He's like, Leon, your one-liners are making me horny. I must take you out. No, seriously, like,
But getting back on topic,
yeah.
I think another thing they can do is the safe zones I'm talking about that make you feel just good, happy, not being picked
Relax.
apart by monsters. If at certain points in the game they take that safe space away from you, or they like have monsters in there to not make it feel safe, I think that's another good element.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I promise I'm not just trying to bring everything back to Resident Evil, but
It all goes back to
it
Resident
all goes
Evil.
back to Resident Evil. But in Resident Evil 2 remake, some of the only few rooms that Mr. X cannot get you in is actually safe rooms, like where you can save and whatnot.
Oh, shucks. He's in this room. I could easily get inside. I can't get him anymore.
Yeah, you literally
Oh
like
man, a single door. Whatever will I do?
it's funny too. It's funny because they have animations of Mr. X like going through like really small doorways, and then like if you have the door open in your safe room, he'll just like look at you.
Stand there menacingly.
But it's weird because like
He's JoJo posing.
like he's
Come
just
here,
standing
Leon.
there. Like he's
Why
like
don't
both
you
of his
approach
fists
me?
clenched. Like he's like, "Hey Leon, can you hurry
Say,
up,
walk
please?"
out that door. I dare you. I double dog dare you.
Oh my
Ready to
God.
throw hands.
He's like,
Try
"Hey."
to climb up
Oh,
these
yeah.
stairs, Leon.
And
Uh,
yeah, no, seriously though, that's actually kind of a reason why Resident Evil 2 is probably my favorite horror game. I'm not counting Bloodborne because it's like not officially a horror game, but Resident Evil 2 like because it has like it does the perfect like pacing for tension because the difficulty like raises with the tension, and I feel like that's why it's so scary in my opinion because like you're given tools to do like a lot in that game, but you have to manage them correctly and you have to like know the area around you and get an idea of like mapping down and whatnot your location to get to certain checkpoints. It's really good. They have like a constant tension. I'm always scared when I'm playing that game, even though I've like played it like 5 times. Going through RPD is so scary because there's always that like that I want to say like unpredictability with it. With like, oh, am I gonna get jumped by this zombie or this or that? It's just like, and I feel like that's something like Dead Space, especially from what I've seen, like it does a good job with. It's like the difficulty like increases with the player and the pacing, and because of that, like the tension also like rises with that. Jay, can you confirm this?
I see what you're saying, yeah. I forget what I was about to say. But correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe I'm thinking of older Resident Evil games, but aren't some of the spawns for the zombies randomized? Like they could be there, they couldn't be there.
That
I
sounds like
th-
a speedrunner's worst nightmare.
I think that's in
Yeah,
I
because
think that's in the old games because I know in
yeah,
Resident Evil 2 like the placements of enemies. I don't think it's RNG in the remakes.
I know in two that it is RNG sometimes, and it can ruin speedruns.
It really sucks too because like I want to play more horror games, but it's just like I kind of don't at the same time. It's like yeah, Resident Evil I want to play more of, but it's also like
What, you scared, little piss boy? Little piss boy?
yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna piss my fucking pants. Yeah, that's right.
Mr. X standing in the doorway. You scared little piss boy?
Why don't you come out here, fight me like a man, Leon?
I don't know why this door is stopping me. I don't know what you did to this thing.
No, it's like that one scene where he's leaning through the door, and then she pulls out the rocket launcher and he just backs away and he goes, "Actually, never mind."
Jesus Christ.
You have a nice day,
I,
sir.
I see your point. That's valid. I'm gonna back away.
Oh God, I don't know why I flashed to this, but this is a very obscure reference. But there was a meme that came out in 2020 for The Last of Us 2, with one of the main characters, Abby, having sex with a character, and
Yeah,
because of how like dumb the scene was and
bad
how
the
like out
scene
of
is.
place it
Yeah.
was, there was like they made like a graphic of it. Like for our viewers, you probably don't understand what the meme I'm talking about, but like a good example is like Omni Man like Think Mark Think, and then like they draw the outlines and
Oh,
replace it with other characters.
yeah.
It's that meme, but it was with Abby having sex. But they for like the characters they replaced. I remember they did that one time for Leon and Mr. X. So
What?
so Leon was like getting
Think.
fucked by Mr. X. Obviously, like there's no nudity to it because like yeah, but it's like you just get the idea is that like you get fucked over.
God damn it, I needed Leon cheeks in my life.
I think we all do. Gonna be
Think,
honest.
Oh, I
Leon.
guess we're just
Think.
gonna have to
I'm
do
always gonna be
PC.
chasing your hot ass around the RPD building. Come here, boy.
Come here,
Well,
boy.
there are probably PC mods to help with that, so.
Okay, we started
Oh
off as a
god.
horror podcast in episode about horror into how are we gonna have sex with Leon Kennedy now? Yay!
Or how horny we are.
Exactly.
We got so off topic. It
But that's
went
the
from
beauty
talking
of
about
it.
horror to just being goofy as shit.
And that's the beauty of it. And that's really the beauty of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, God, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, why horror games are horror games, and we said atmosphere.
Okay, music, that's a big one.
Oh, that is a huge one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a God. But I can't think of like a really good example. I hate that I can't. Crap.
Well, because the thing with the music there is the songs that are always going to stick in your head in the most are like the catchy little bits like Mario doo 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 doo, or like
As
Xenoblade
stupid as
3's
the sound, one example I can think about is what he just said in Mario games, Boo Mansions.
Oh
The
yeah.
music changes.
Do 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 do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion. But yeah, I feel like with the music, you don't remember horror games as much because in a moment you're just freaked out. You're a little anxiety ridden, just trying to get through the level.
True.
So the
and the
music's more
music kind of
there
there to bring it
to
on.
bring up the
And,
tension instead of just
yeah.
like invigorate you to fight or make you feel all bouncy and happy.
For sure.
What?
One way they can unintentionally scare the player is just by saying press shift to run. It lets you know. It's like what's
Hey, this is how you
nearby?
run. You might want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I have to run?
Did you bring protection? Why? What's up there?
Oh my god. Every time someone says that, like, did you bring protection? This is also an obscure reference and has nothing to do with the topic. But there's a movie called Dumb and Dumber 2. And
Isn't that a scene in there in Dumb and Dumber?
yeah, it's like the girl asks like Jim Carrey's character, like, did you bring protection? And he says yes, and then he just puts on a bike helmet.
I can remember that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Uh,
And then yeah,
that's hilarious.
it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, this video's gone on for a while.
Oh yeah, it does. All right, what's our like last couple things we can think about that like really does make a horror game?
God, I want to say atmosphere and sound, obviously, yeah, but I want to say visuals is probably another big one.
Like
Yeah, I think
visuals being
visuals
like
and
designs, all
design
that.
because I don't think a horror game has to have monsters, but majority of them you can think of have monsters. So like creature design too, level design.
Oh, for sure, for
I'd say
sure.
that's
Level design's probably a big one too.
Yeah, visual and like spectacle is a really big one because like yeah, but you see what I mean by that.
The more immersed you get with the visuals and all.
For sure, for
yeah,
sure.
because I'm gonna show you guys some real quick, some of the death mark designs because those things are fucking creepy. I just want to get your reactions to this. We'll throw them
Please.
in later so the viewers can see.
Yeah, we'll put an image in.
So like,
Holy shit! What the fuck?
yeah, so like this mutilated person with like arms sticking out. They have like all these teeth there. And there's a lot of things. I think its sequel, Spirit Hunter NG, has some really good ones too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so this is one of the most memorable ones to
Oh,
me.
I've seen that. I've seen that somewhere before.
Yeah,
Holy crap! Yeah, the
yeah.
visuals though, that's crazy.
Can we even show this one? This one's these things are messed up. This one
God
isn't
damn.
as freaky. I think it's cool design though.
I have to
That's really
consult
cool.
the guidelines.
Yeah,
Dang, doesn't compare though to my favorite horror series ever,
Resident Evil.
Berserk.
Oh no,
Oh no, 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 no.
no Berserk Rants. No Berserk Rants.
We're not doing Berserk. We're not doing Berserk. Don't worry.
If you
Eventually.
guys want to hear Berserk, let us
No,
know.
don't
But
spoil me. I'm
Yeah,
still in Golden Age.
yeah. We're not gonna.
Please.
Don't worry. We're not gonna talk about Berserk for a while because we still have a. I'm caught up with the series. By the way,
I
if
still need
anyone
to
who doesn't
finish
know
it.
what Berserk is, it's a long-standing action horror manga series that is
I'm goaded.
incredible. It's so good. You need to read it if you can. It's online. But I've finished. Well, I'm caught up with it right now. It's still ongoing. But we have two people right here who are like kind of like in one arc, really. Well, I mean,
Yeah, you're in like Conviction, right?
I'm in Conviction, yeah.
yeah, it's like the
Yeah, and
third
I'm
I
arc.
haven't read Conviction in like a month or two. I need to hop.
Dude, you're so close to finishing Lost Children though. You need to do it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean,
Adult Attack.
don't. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
don't spoil me.
So, any closing statements for this? Because I feel like this has been really fun talking about horror games for sure. Even
Yeah,
though
we'll definitely have to go back on this topic because you can delve so deep into this.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But
Oh.
obviously, like we're kind of inexperienced with like horror games in general, but like we still want to talk about them because I think they're really fun.
I mean, there's a lot of like smaller indie ones that I didn't get a chance to bring up, so definitely next time.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, but honestly, if anyone wants to like leave suggestions or anything, like games that they are horror games, and leave suggestions for us, like if we want to play them or if you like game, I'm down to take suggestions and play horror games.
Yo, same here,
Yeah,
honestly. Yeah,
maybe we stream it. Stream us getting the shit scared out of us.
yeah, like blind
Yeah.
playthroughs are fucking amazing to stream. They really are.
Oh yeah, blind playthroughs are great.
All right, but I think Hayden, you got any last thoughts, man?
Nope, I ain't got any.
Gotcha. Before we close this off, I want to wish a happy fucking birthday to Hayden. He is turning 19 today as of the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. But with that being
Who's
said,
19?
I really enjoyed doing this podcast with you guys this episode. But
Yeah, this was a fun
Same here.
episode.
so for our viewers at home, please will you somersault, kickflip that subscribe button, cripple it, and then freaking do a kick
I'll
like
try that
Leon
one.
would on that subscribe button, please, because we need the support. But
Yeah.
please, but if you like our content, seriously, share it around. We're probably gonna be doing
Yeah.
this once a week once we have a consistent schedule going on. But yeah, as far as I know, that is our horror episode of Fetch Quest. Thank you guys very much.
See you guys.